Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a classic. This is an Ocean City True Temper 112D. And the 112 was one of the more popular reels that Ocean City had made. They made it in this size frame and a slightly larger frame, which was the 113. This is a saltwater fishing reel. And by the nature of the reel, with the name True Temper on it, it means that that was made after True Temper acquired Ocean City, and they did that in 1957. And eventually they dropped the Ocean City nomenclature and just went with True Temper in the early 1960s. So that puts this reel late 1950s, early 1960s. It was sent in by Bill. It's a beautiful running reel. Bill tells me he's going fishing in about a week or so. Could I do a service on this, make sure everything's fine so that the reel doesn't fail him while he's out there. And I did mention, if he didn't know much about the reel, probably want to replace the drag washers in this reel because of the age of it. And most of the time those drag washers will disintegrate or dry out and break. And well, you don't want to risk losing a good fish that you're chasing because the drag washers fail you. So we're going to show you how to take this reel apart. We're going to show you how to service it, how to replace the drag washers in it, and well, get it back to Bill so that he can take it fishing. The exercise, well, it's something that you can do yourself with a little confidence and with a little instruction, and that's what we're going to do here. That's the idea behind Second Chance Tackle, to show you about the fishing reels, let you learn a little bit about them, learn how to service the reels yourself, and how to keep them fishing for a long time to come. We also cover manufacturers, like what happened here with Ocean City. And well, Ocean City had a proud heritage. They were started in 1922 by two partners that were in Philadelphia. They operated a sporting goods store, and well, they needed some fishing reels to go in that store. Eventually started manufacturing them for their store and then for other stores. And Ocean City has a very big and robust lineup of what are called trade reels, reels that bear other companies' names, mostly retailers. They did a lot of work for Sears, for example, and Montgomery Ward's. You can find these. There's a whole subgenre of collectors out there that do nothing but collect the trade reels that were manufactured by this company. And they were located in Philadelphia. And one of the early employees of Ocean City Reels was the fellow who founded Penn Reels. They're not related. He left Ocean City to form his own reel manufacturing company. But yeah, so a lot of interesting stuff that goes on in the world of fishing reels when you get a chance. Well, if you'd like to learn about these kinds of things, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. My channel tries to cover all of that and try to do it in an entertaining way. So please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And well, you'll see the videos that I'm posting, and you'll get to see if that's something you want to learn more about. Today it's an Ocean City saltwater reel. Tomorrow it might be a freshwater reel that's a current lineup. Just never quite know. You're kind of looking over my shoulder in my shop, seeing what I'm working on. Kind of fun. All right, there's two more screws to take off here. We'll be able to show you the inward workings of this reel. This reel's nice and clean. There's not much of that's required there. I did notice one of the screws did not come out on the side plate. It was a short screw, and that was because it was in the wrong place from when it was last serviced. This one right here, but we'll correct that on the way back out. You can see that that screw only has a little bit that comes out, and that little bit that comes out is really all about not protruding through this reel seat here. You can see it's only got a little bit for that screw to grab, and there was one that went long on that. We'll change those positions to the right position as we go through this. This is a well-designed reel. It's got a free spool release that, to the novice, a lot of folks try to move this back and forth in a swing action, and that's not how this operates. Somebody brought me in one that was broken, and I said, well, how in the world did you break that? Well, I couldn't get it to move back and forth, so I grabbed the pliers and I thought maybe it was stuck and I was going to pull it and snapped it right off. Well, the reason for that is that this operates the free spool by pulling it out rather than swinging it away. And you can see on this side, as you pull it out, it pulls this back in like that. It retracts it off of these two posts here on your spool, and that allows the spool to free spool. All right, well, this has got some funky green, almost varnished oil or grease or melted down grease or something. It's kind of hard to say just exactly what that is. But what we do in servicing most reels, you want to clean the reels, get rid of all that old grease and dirt and debris. This one's clean on the outside, but it's got all that greases and oils in there that are no good. Then we inspect the pieces and parts. Hopefully no pieces and parts are needed. Now, drag washers, there is a substitute drag washer you can use. It actually belongs to a pen reel. And, well, if you find yourself needing drag washers, and I advise Bill to go change them since he doesn't know these, you can still get a pen fishing reel drag washer that fits this. That's what we will be using. But other than that, these parts need to come from donor reels because, well, the reels were discontinued. As we mentioned, this one, because it has the True Temper name on it, probably made it into the 60s before they stopped making it. But the actual Ocean City reels and parts and company and support system, well, that deteriorated over time. And I think the last time the True Temper made a fishing reel was the 1970s, and they gave up on that. Well, if you're hearing True Temper a couple of times and say, gee, I've seen that brand around. Yeah, it's the one that makes the garden shovels and the like. They dabbled in sporting goods for a while there. They were making shafts for golf clubs and some other things. But eventually they just fell back to doing the garden supplies and the like. Okay, to remove the trip lever and the yoke assemblies and the like, you need to pull this screw. And if I didn't mention it before, I was using a penetrating oil as a degreaser there. That's how I was getting the solvent to so that I could clean up the old green stuff there. Once you pull that off, hold the pinion gear, push it down, and you can slide this out. And then these two parts are going to come up. There's a central collar, and there is a yoke. And then there's the pinion gear. Then there's two springs that go onto the two posts that are going to hold all of that in place. And then up top here we have two smaller springs. And you can pull the swing arm out at that point. You'll notice that I'm putting all my pieces and parts into a tray. That's how I organize the pieces and parts that I remove from the reel. I suggest that you have a plan to do the same. It's real easy to do what I've done here. Put them on the table, start working around them. Next thing you know, you bump something, and then that piece and part goes somewhere that you can't find. So I laid those out here as part of my narrative to kind of tell you what was going on. But now they're going in a parts tray. Check all the teeth on your pinion gear. Make sure that they're squared up, that there's nothing trapped in the teeth of the gear. If there is, get a hard brush, toothbrush, bristle brush. This one comes in one of those 3-packs that you find at home centers and the like. I like it because it's got 2 different ways to reach that. Just pull through and that'll get rid of any of the dirt and debris in there. If you have a cotton swab, you can run it through the inside. Make sure that you get the old greases and oils out of that channel. And we can put those in. All right, so we still have that old grease on there. I'm not quite sure what it is. It almost looks like a cake icing or something, a frosting. But that's all right. We'll get rid of that. And then what you want to do now is remove these 2 bridge screws. You do not need to remove those 2 screws up top. Those 2 screws up top are holding the posts that are going to hold the yoke assembly together. Those don't need to come out. If you remove them, that's okay. A lot of people watch this because, well, they got started on the project and it didn't go as well as they thought and they got lost or whatever. That's okay. If you've removed those, make sure when you go to reinstall them that there's 2 flat sides to this post. There's a flat side on each of the posts. They need to face in to accept that yoke and jack assembly. All right, we'll do the same thing with that penetrating oil. And when you clean a reel, use the least abrasive approach possible. And if you can get away with just using a solvent like that WD-40 and a paper towel to clean it up, then that's what you want to use. Now, you're going to have situations, look at that green gunk. You're going to have situations there when that's not good enough. Maybe you got corrosion or something. Well, just keep moving up the ladder in terms of abrasiveness. Don't jump right to the most abrasive. And that'll save you the cosmetic side of it as best you can. So what's the ladder? Well, the next one would probably be a scrubby pad. It's just a corner of one of those kitchen scrubbies. Then a very fine polishing steel wall. And well, I guess you could actually get the files and things if you really needed to. Maybe you get some really stubborn corrosion on something, but for the most part, try to keep it mild and try to keep it to the point where you're not scarring anything. All right, so we're back to the side plate here. This is done. Here's the main gear assembly. This is where we're going to change out the drag washers. This one may actually have the 5 metal drag washers in it. I guess I got to see. There's one of them out there that actually has that, but most of the time these are fabric. And then we have an inner post and we have our anti-reverse dog. Take a picture here. This has got a spring on the other side that connects to that anti-reverse dog, and that's what's holding it in place there. And we should have a pin here that we can push out to get this shaft off. So I'm using an awl to do the pushing. You can see how it comes out of the side here. I'm going to retract that, take that off. I'm going to put it right there. And now we can deal with the dirt and the old grease on the shaft, just like we were dealing with that on the case. Again, mild is best. So if you can use a paper towel to clean that up, please go ahead and do it that way. Be careful with your anti-reverse dog there. You certainly can move it around because it is attached with a spring in the back. Don't bang it around. You'll probably have something go amiss there. Okay, just one more little piece here. So there is a lot of house cleaning going on, and that's a good thing. Because if you had a lot of broken pieces and parts, that would not be the good thing to do, right? All right, one more thing, just grab that cotton swab, goes through. Yep, we just pushed through a little felt pad that's an oil retention pad that goes on the top. Let's put that back in, easy enough. Now we can bring the slot back in once we put a little bit of grease onto that inner bridge sleeve shaft. Use fishing reel grease when you're working on your reels. You won't get in trouble that way. Pull out your anti-reverse dog so that it seats into the groove in that bridge sleeve. Get that little pin, and we've got to push the pin back in. And you may need an assist, so a pair of pliers or something will help you pull that in if you don't have the hand strength to do it. And then just turn it, make sure everything's good. Now, if you didn't grease that shaft, then you would be able to, or you would need to put some oil in. That oil can come through the top where you saw that little holder. All right, let's take some of this stuff and put this out. While I do that, I want to encourage you to ask some questions if you have questions, and I do try to answer them. Maybe sometimes you're getting stuck, don't have an answer. Maybe you started doing something and got in over your head. If that's the case, then I will try to help you out. All right, this has got all the metal washers in it. So you can go two ways with this. You can leave those metal washers in there, and that's something that was around in the 1950s. If you happen to take apart a Mitchell 302 wheel, you'll find that they use metal washers only, and that's something you can do. Or you can replace these with felt or fabric or leather washers or carbon tex washers. And you know what? I think we're going to try and do that. We should have a washer on the bottom here as well. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find those washers for the pinwheel. Now, the washer that matches up with this comes from a Penn Beachmaster series. It's the 155 series. The part number, if you're exploring a parts site like mysticparts.com for pinwheels, the parts number is 6-155, and they're almost a dead copy of what you're replacing. We're going to just checking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm going to take this with the metal washer on the bottom, bring that in. I'm going to take the first of those pen washers, then a keyed washer, oh, these are, there's two ways. There you go. One side just seems to be a little bit more. I'm going to take that second washer, put that one in, then the eared washer. I'm going to put the third washer in. And what we're actually doing is adding one washer here, and what that's going to enable this reel to do is to have a little bit extra max drag. So this sits a little bit more proud than the original setup. That's because you have 3 drag washers instead of 2 right now, and a whole bunch of metal. So the metal won't wear, and metal will not give you as much feel or play in the drag, and over time I think you're in a better position using 3 functional drag washers versus the 2. We're going to include these back to Bill in case he wants to change back at some point to the original system. But right now I think that's the answer that we're going to seek here, is to get the extra drag into this reel. A little bit of grease onto your side plate bushing. Same thing on this side. And then we can rebuild the side plate now that we've taken care of most of the business here. You go in reverse, right? So the first part that the last part we took out was actually the bridge assembly. That's the first piece we're going to put back in. Line that up. You're going to have, chances are you're going to have a little bit of an issue getting this one here to line up because of the way that dog kind of floats there with the spring. So go to the other one that doesn't have that dog on it first. Get that started to hold you where you need to be. Then come on back. Sometimes you have to shake it a little bit. Sometimes you need to use a small piece to pull that dog up. Get it up and out of the way so that you can move that screw in. Little tricks that you learn over time, but pushing it up, you can clear that now. And then bring this side back down. And yeah, we have the clearance. I'm just checking to make sure we have the clearance in addition to making sure that we have that anti-reverse working. Sometimes when you add that extra washer, you don't have that clearance. All right, we're going to go back now and build the other side up. This is our free spool release. And again, this is in beautiful condition here. Always nice to see. We're going to bring that release in. It's this way. I've seen it come back in with people installing it over here and the other way. It'll work with whatever way you put it in, but that's the way it belongs. I'm going to go find the two smaller diameter springs. They go next. Then get the two big springs. They go over the posts that are going to hold the yoke assembly. Usually I'll put this down and that'll fall out, but it does, just be aware of it. All right, time for the yoke and the carrier. The carrier's got a flat side and it's got a section with 4 slots. The 4 slots is what's going to grab the spool here, like that. So make sure it's facing the spool side when you do that. Looking at the spool, we've got that blue funk there again. So while we've got this, let's get that off of there. And that penetrating oil is doing a good job of breaking down that old grease and oil. Makes me almost think that it was either a squirt bottle. It's a very thin viscosity, whatever it is. I'm guessing it was to the oil side rather than the grease side, but that's why I wear a glove on my hand. I try to protect myself as much as I can from whatever's inside that reel. I've found all kinds of greases and oils in that. I don't wear a glove on my dominant hand because I have trouble just keeping it, working with it through the glove. So if you're wondering, that's why that is. But I do recommend you use what you can, when you can, to keep that stuff off you. All right, we're going to the shoulder side now. Again, remember, this is going to face out. We've got the greases on the yoke, a little bit into that slot. We're fine. This is the only part, I mentioned this was going to fall out. This is the only part where it gets a little bit interesting. You just have to have patience, which when I started doing wheel repairs all those years ago, I kind of was advised that you really need 2 things to succeed. The first thing you need is you need some patience, and you need a sense of humor. And there are more times than not when a spring will fly loose or you mess up. You just got to have the ability to laugh at yourself and move on. All right, there's your yoke. Get the yoke into the carrier. Grab the whole assembly, bring it over, center that on top of those posts. And then you need to push down with even pressure to make sure that the spring doesn't get trapped and that you can clear the grooves here. So that's what we're doing there, clearing the grooves, and we don't have that spring trapped underneath. With that done, then let's grab that jack, slide that in like that, center it over the hole for your free spool release. Grab the screw. I'll tighten that down. And that should tighten down all the way, just like that. Now, sometimes these get a little finicky, and tightening it down all the way does not allow you to open up the free spool release. So let's see what, in this case it does. It pulls it in. Again, remember, it's going to pull it in and pull it off the spool. When it goes back, it's going to release, and that'll grab the notches on the spool. But if you find that for some reason it's just a little tight, just back that off a little bit and you'll be fine. Okay. Let's put the collar on, the spacer for your sleeve. I'll center that up. I'm going to grab the star adjuster. Now there should be a rounded side and a flat side. This is the flat side, it faces back. The rounded or more finished side faces front. Sometimes you find these on the bottom, sometimes you find them between the star adjuster and the handle. I prefer to put it on the bottom. I'll show you that in a moment why. And this is an exercise in patience as well. Okay. On the back side of this reel, you have the adjuster for your spool tension. And sometimes when the drags wear down significantly, there's an issue with clearance between the two. And that little washer sometimes makes all the difference in the clearance there. So I prefer to put it on the inside. All right, I'm going to use the handle just as a wrench to hold that down. And you can see we get a little bit closer here now with that. Test it all, make sure that it's doing what it should be doing. And then we can put the side plate on. Grease it up. That you want grease here to go through the pinion gear. You want grease here for the bushing. And most of the time it's easier to put this on when you retract the free spool. Bring that in and line it up with your post holes. And we can start putting the side plate screws in. There's 4 long ones. As I mentioned, one of those was in the wrong position when we took this off. So make sure that the 4 long ones go on the side cross posts here. While I'm doing this, I want to take a moment. I want to thank our first responders and all the people that are engaged daily in our safety, rescue and the like, our fire, our EMTs, the police, all the safety workers. I do appreciate what you do. All right, we're going to put the 4 of these in, but we're going to stop for a moment. We're going to anchor the bottom one, make sure that this reel seat is squared up. And there we go. And now it'll be a little bit easier to put the other pieces in. Again, the long ones go in the crossbars. Then there'll be 2 short ones that'll go in that reel seat. Well, Bill really has himself a nice reel here. I didn't quite get all of the story to it, other than he wanted to go fishing, and I think this may have belonged to somebody he knew, but he was thinking about buying a new reel to take fishing, and he said, well, I got a reel that's pretty new right here. It's just been a long time since it's been serviced, and that's how he connected with me. Saw one of the videos, and I appreciate everybody who contacts me because they've seen something on a video that they like and left a comment, and or asked for service on their reels. And well, that's what Bill did. Okay. All right, make sure that they're all tightened once you've got them all seated. If you're on a boat, the boat vibrations tend to shake these things up pretty good. So make sure that they're tight so that they don't shake out on a trip. All right, we can push that in, bring our handle over. And just one more piece now. My parts tray is empty. We can tighten down on this. Just grab the right screwdriver. This is a broader blade. Tighten that down, and we can give it a test. So what did we do? We took the reel apart completely. We showed you about this reel, told you a little bit about it. Circa 1960. Made by True Temper after True Temper purchased the Ocean City Fishing Reel Company in 1957. Changed the branding on it. This one's in beautiful condition. Doesn't even appear as though it's been fished much, at least from the cosmetic side of it. When we got underneath, we saw there's a lot of dried greases. There's worn metal drag washers in there, so it's not like it just came out of the box, but it is in nice condition. There's a little bit of cosmetic stuff on the handle and like a little bit of pitting in that, but hey, for the age of the reel, it's in wonderful condition. All right, let's give it a test. What can I say? Beautiful reel all around. All right, so here's the fun part. This goes to free spool. That's going to enable you to cast. You have adjusters on both sides. You have an adjuster here, which is your primary spool adjuster. There should be a little bit of tension between the 2 posts. You should hear just a little bit of a knock like you're hearing here, and you'll see that it spins nice and free and easy. If you want to center the spool, if you're looking and you see that there's a gap on one side and it's real buried in the other side, you can actually use the slot right here in this one. This one becomes an adjuster as well with a screwdriver, but this one appears to be set right. And here's your fun part. I don't recommend it, but a lot of people love these reels because of it. When you pull this open for free spool, you don't have to close it manually. You can use the handle. The handle will knock it and close it. I don't know why people want to beat it up, but those that want to do it that way, do it that way. Well, there you go. That's it. That's how to take apart, service, and maintain an Ocean City 112. In this case, it's a later edition of the 112. It's the 112 by True Temper. It's the 112D. And sometimes this reel is called the Bay City, Ocean City Bay City fishing reel. Well, thanks for watching. I want to wish everybody fun times on the water and fun times fixing your fishing reels or keeping them serviced so that they don't fail you when you get out there. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.